Hello, welcome back to Rosie Sews Modern Vintage. I'm Rosie and it's really lovely to have you here. Today I wanted to show you some more little projects that you can do with scraps of fabric and spare bits and bobs that are lying around the house. And my last vlog like this got loads of attention and people seem to really love it. So I thought, let's do another one. The first thing that I wanted to show you was my turban. I've only just discovered how to make these. I've bought them from people because I thought, well, they look far too difficult to make myself, so I think I'll just buy one ready-made. But I've discovered how to make them and now I'm totally in love with it and can't wait to make loads more. So what you will need is a piece of, basically probably a fat quarter size piece of jersey. So I'm going to show you now a tutorial that I've just previously recorded. I'm going to insert that here now on how to make it. So the first thing you need to do is to take some measurements. The first measurement is going to be around where the turban comes across here. Okay, so we need to measure from the back of our head to the top. And mine is 26 inches. Okay, so we need to write that down. 26 inches or 66 centimetres. The second calculation we need to do is from the back of our head to the top of our forehead. Okay, so that shows us how deep we're going to need the turban to be. So we measure from the top here all the way, and out way of that, from there, and that is 15 inches for me or 38 centimetres. So we'll write that down. Okay, let's go to our fabric. So I've got a piece of jersey here, and this was an old maxi skirt I made years ago, which I've cut up to use for another project. So it does actually have a hem on it. Now you don't need to hem your jersey because it won't fray, but as I've got the hem, I thought I might as well use that for the piece that goes around the back of my head. So we're going to measure our back piece to, what was it, 26 inches or 66 centimetres, which is here. And I'm going to mark that with my heat erasable pen. There. I'm going to do another one just up here, which we probably won't be cutting to that line, but it's just so to give me an idea of the length. And then we need to take the length from the back of our head to our forehead along here. So that was for me 15 inches. So, oh, look at that, perfect. Which is here. Now we do need to add just a little tiny bit of extra for stitching. So I'm actually going to add it, cut it to there. Okay. So, which is probably an extra inch. Yeah, exactly an inch. So now what we want to do is from our side, our bottom marking here to our top marking here, is we want to cut a very gradual curve, and then we want to go all the way back down the other side. So here is where I'm starting from. I'm just going to make a big start cut there. And I just want to see where my, okay, so I'm aiming for up here. So this can be very rough. I've got another marker there, so I'm going to sort of just roughly aim to go past that. So there's my marker, look. And then my curve is going gradually round here. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just disappearing out of view for a second, but I will be back. Okay, and then we can cut all the way along there. You can take this fabric away. So now we have this piece of fabric which has got the piece to go around the back of our head, and this is going from the nape of our neck all the way to the top of our forehead. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch just a running stitch all the way around here, about maybe 1.5 centimetres all the way around to the bottom again, and then we're going to pull it up to gather it. Okay, so here's my thread. I've doubled it up and then tied a knot in the end so that we can gather it all the way up and it won't slip through. Okay, so I'm going to start sewing here. And we're just going in and out, roughly 1.5 centimetres. And there we go. So what we've got now is our hat with a ruffle on the top. Now, to hold this ruffle in place, we are going to just wrap the thread around a few times, oops, catching all of the ruffles, and then we're going to put some stitches through just to keep it in place. It really doesn't have to be that tidy because this is all going to be hidden. Oh, dropping my needle now. Okay, and we'll just go through one more time. You'll probably have stronger fingers than I have. My fibromyalgia makes my hands really stiff, so can't do it very well. There we go. And then just a couple of little stitches to finish. And then we will cut that off. Actually, I'll use my little snips. There we go. So we've got our hat with the knot at the front, and this knot we're now going to cover up. Okay, so to cover up this frill at the top, you can do lots of different things. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. So the first one, well, for both of these, you'll need a rectangle of your matching fabric. It doesn't have to be neatly cut because none of the ends are going to show, but just a rough symmetrical rectangle of a similar width to the measurement that you took around here, just so that you've got enough to be generous. So we're going to take the top of our turban, and we're just going to lay the fabric on the back like that, so it's falling down. Just put a couple of stitches there so that then you can fold it over, and then you're literally just going to twist and knot however you like it. You can tuck the ends of the fabric in and try it on, and just gradually just get to the point where you've got a shape that you really like for the knot, and then you just do a couple of slip stitches here and there just to hold it in place. So the second way you could do it is by putting more of a roll rather than a knot on the top of the turban. So you need to take your turban so that you've got the entry that's going to go over your head at the bottom and the top of the knot on the top. And then you want to lay your jersey right side out, wrong side out, right side against the knot, and you're just going to pleat it on. This is going to be hard for me to show you, but you're going to need to pleat it on like that and just do a few slip stitches to keep it in place. Once I've done this, I'll show you it again so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, that's sewn on. It literally doesn't take much sewing at all. Let me see if you can see it. So here's my second piece of fabric, and as you can see, I've just pleated it and sewn it on there, and I've got wrong sides facing out because then I'm going to fold it over like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to fold it over. We want to try and keep those pleats in place because we want a bit of texturization. We don't want it to just look like a bit folded over the knot. We want it to look a little bit more decorative. Now I can't find my needle. There it is. We're going to stitch this in place again. with all of the pleats. And then you're just going to basically just keep doing this, just folding it back and forth, folding it back and forth, until you've got the size of knot that you want, roll that you want. So at the moment, that's how big the roll is, which is quite a lot smaller, if you can see, to the knot. So you just keep going really until you've got the size that you want. Right, so I've finished my roll now. I'm happy with the size of that. So I've got my opening to my turban here, and I've got the remainder of the folded down fabric here. So I now want to finish this off neatly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stitch it in place finally on the sides with some invisible stitches, and then I'm going to cut the remainder of that off, and what's left I'm going to tuck in and sew inside. Okay, so here we go. I've secured my stitches and finished it off, and this is what we're left with. That's the roll at the front of the turban. So I'm going to take this one off, put this one on so you can see what it looks like. And there we are. So you can see it's quite a lot neater than doing this kind of rosy knot. Oops, I don't know where that random bit's come from. Tuck that back in. That's not very good for the tutorial, is it? So here we go. So that's the rosy knot, and this is more of like a fold on the top of the turban. So either one I think looks really pretty, and then you can accessorise it like I did with my flower, and you can just, if your flower's got a clip on it, you can just clip it onto the jersey. It doesn't have to actually clip onto your hair, and there you go. Now back to my list of things that you can make with small pieces of fabric. One thing that we have been making is scrunchies. My daughter has really enjoyed wearing these, and I have to admit that I remember wearing them first time round in the 90s, and my mum used to make a lot of my clothes, so I so often had dresses or skirts with a matching scrunchie in my hair or two. And so the fact that my daughter now likes to wear them is kind of nice, because it takes me back to my childhood, and I feel like a good mum when I'm making her a scrunchie to go with her outfit. And you can make these with such small pieces of fabric. I bought my daughter a dress in Tesco's sale a few weeks ago. She's in lady sizes, but because she's only 12, we have to try and kind of make them look more young looking, some of the outfits. So this dress she chose had long sleeves, and she wanted it turned to short sleeves, which was a really good choice. It made it look like much more sort of young. But with the sort of sleeve, which I've cut off from kind of here to the wrist, oh, it's my cup of tea, kind of from here to the wrist, there was plenty there to make a couple of scrunchies. So she has in fact got a matching scrunchie, even though her dress was bought from a shop. So there's loads of tutorials online on how to make them. So I'm not gonna post a tutorial on here, but I'll put some links below to places where you can find them, including on Pinterest and things like that. There's a friend of mine on Sew Projects who makes beautiful kits and sewing patterns to make underwear, and she also has a free pattern to create your very own sleep mask, which is so nice, isn't it, to have a sleep mask when it's, especially at this time of year when it gets brighter in the mornings and maybe you're waking up earlier, or you might be in the car trying to have a sleep while your partner is driving, all those kind of things. It's a really nice thing to have, and she has a little free pattern that you can download if you join her mailing list. So I will pop the link below to her website and you can download that should you choose. That again takes very small pieces of fabric and something that you could easily find in your little box of scraps should you be saving them. Another thing that I've been enjoying making are face wipes. This was something that I hadn't really thought about making for myself, but last year I went to the open day for Satisfaction, and they had some little classes that you could take. So I paid for myself and my daughter to go and do the class on how to make face wipes. This is the jar that I keep them in by my bed or on my dressing table. And these are face wipes. So it's just a little square of fabric, and then on the other side is a square of microfiber cloth. They're actually the best things, better than jersey. You can see it's got stains on because obviously makeup does tend to stain fabrics, but I don't mind because that's what these are for, and I know it's clean because I've washed it, so it doesn't bother me that it gets stained. If it did bother you, you could maybe go for a darker colour of microfiber cloth. So I've made all of these. How many have I got? 8. So that's over a week's worth, and I made these out of less than a fat quarter of fabric, really tiny. And if you have any little scraps lying around, even if you've just got one scrap, you just make one, and then as you get every scrap, you make one pad out of that. You're going to still get a lovely collection of them. Again, there's lots of tutorials on how to do these, but basically what you do is you cut a square of microfiber about, so with giving yourself a seam allowance about that much bigger around, and the same with the fabric. Put right sides together, sew around 3 sides, turn it in the other way, poke out the corners, give it a press, tuck in the final open side, and then top stitch all the way around. And there you have your finished face wipe. So easy, so quick. You might even have microfiber cloths hanging around in the kitchen that have maybe got bleached so that you don't use them anymore because they've got a funny colour. They'd be perfect for this. It really doesn't matter, because although you want them to be pretty, they are going to get a lot of abuse really from taking your makeup off. So that would work absolutely fine. But you can also do it with jersey. I know a lot of people that do use jersey, and also toweling, just actual towels and face cloths and things. So yeah, so that is one of my favourite things to do with my scraps. Another one that I am dying to try out and I've not actually done yet, although I've bought all the stuff for it, is to make wax wraps for food. I like to think I'm not somebody who uses a lot of plastic. I do try to be as frugal as I possibly can, but you would not believe how many plastic bags we get through. I buy a pack of like 50 sandwich bags to put stuff in the freezer and all that kind of thing. And they're gone within a couple of months. And I'm thinking that is really a waste, isn't it? All that plastic that's going in the bin just because I'm wrapping stuff up to preserve it for another day. So these wax wraps look amazing. You can make them with approximately a fat quarter of fabric, and I will link below with some details of where you can go to get a proper tutorial on how to make them. Something that my friend Jane over at Loopy Mabel's Closet has been doing a lot of is making her own knickers. And again, you can make this with offcuts from your old t-shirt projects, or even t-shirts that you don't wear anymore, that kind of thing. So again, I'm going to put a link below to her vlog so that you can see how she made her knickers. She tries out, I think it was 5 free knicker patterns. So she shows you how she made them, and she's also got a tutorial on how to make your own pattern for your own knickers in your own design. And there you have it. That is me done for our second episode of How to Sew with Scraps. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any more ideas, do pop them below, because if I get enough, I shall probably do another episode on this. And in the meantime, have a lovely day and happy sewing.